Hey y'all, welcome back to the garden. This is week 4 of our summer 2020 garden tours, and it's been a great week in the garden. Very productive, got a lot accomplished, won some battles with pests, started some new battles with pests, which I'll talk about that as we walk through. I've also been having a few challenges this week on the outer perimeter of the fence. I showed last week this little bed that I put here, which the deer ate the hibiscus. Well, I think it was a deer. Ate the hibiscus down to the stems, but it has already started regrowing leaves. I think they also, it looks like, chomped on this lantana. So I'm going to continue to monitor this little area out here. I also had a dahlia loss along this perimeter here, which this is new for me this year. I haven't shared it much. I'm kind of waiting and seeing what it's going to do. But there are marigolds, dahlias, basil, salvia planted in this area on the outer perimeter, and it's been fine up until this point. It has really grown a lot, but on the other end down there, someone got to one of the dahlias. And then this morning I came out, and in this little area out here on the opposite side of the fence, I'm gonna say it was a rabbit. I don't see any tracks or anything, so I'm thinking maybe a rabbit ate all of my echinacea, every single one, down to the stems. So that was pretty disheartening this morning, but I'm going to continue to be grateful for everything that remains and gonna keep pushing forward. So I will likely start some more echinacea seeds. It was my first year growing echinacea, so feeling a little defeated, but again, I'm not gonna let it steal my joy on this beautiful Sunday morning. I'll get some more planted and then go ahead and put some kind of barrier around that area so that it doesn't happen again. You live and you learn. So our strawberries have been producing a lot this week. I took the netting off. I'm gonna put it back on, but they were getting pretty tall. There's also this week some kind of issue with the leaves. I don't know if this is some kind of rust, but I am gonna go ahead and spray it with some copper. A few weeks ago, probably the first week after I transplanted most of them, there was a similar issue, and the copper seemed to take care of it. So I will go ahead and spray this so that it does not spread or get any worse. But I harvested strawberries off of a lot of the plants this week. So of course the Eversweet strawberry is still producing. I was able to get berries off of the Chandler strawberry plant, and also the oh, this is a first. These are all-star cherry, not cherry, strawberries. And all-star strawberries are June bearing, so I will come through later. Look at that, so beautiful. So I have gotten a lot. I'm actually going to use those in my kombucha that I need to put into second fermentation. So then all of these are getting ready. So it's been a great week of harvesting. I do need to come through and stake this borage plant, which is falling down to the wayside. So I'm gonna come through and stake that up. Of course, I still haven't tackled this area, which is okay. It's nice to have just an empty space if I need it. I did also start a lot of new seeds. Herb seeds this week. I started some stevia, which I've never grown. Some TARRAGON, which has already sprouted. The purple potted beans, are looking good. Looks like we are going to get some action here in the near future, which I'm really excited. DC Garden Girl, I think is her name, has posted her purple potted bean harvest, and they are absolutely beautiful. I'll go ahead and talk about it now since I see it. This is the garden pest challenge of the week. These Japanese beetles, which are enemy number one in my garden every single season. They have started showing up, I believe it was this week or the end of last week, and every day there are more of them. So I wish I could work really well with my one hand, but I would definitely knock these into my tub of soapy water, which I already have prepared, because they have got to go. So hopefully they'll still be here trying to do their thing once I'm done recording, but that was the main pest of the week that I was dealing with, those Japanese beetles. So I will continue to fight that battle. Last year, I'm not going to say they beat me, but they did definitely cause some damage. They're already causing damage now, which I will share later. These cucumber plants are looking really good. This is the Market More cucumber. I don't see any fruit on this one yet, and as I've shared in previous weeks, it's growing a bit slower than the cucumbers in the containers, but growing nonetheless. Here is a male flower, looking beautiful. The contender beans look like they are growing well, and again, we're gonna get some action here soon on those. I came through one of the things that I did yesterday. I did a lot of maintenance in the garden yesterday, but I came through and removed some of the lower leaves on the squash and zucchini plants that were yellowing a little, and also to again allow as much air as possible. I haven't gotten any fruit on that particular zucchini yet. Here is our brandywine tomato, and what do we have here? A fruit. I am uber excited about that. I've been coming through too and just knocking on the flowers. Tomatoes are self-pollinating, so the wind, the bees do help, but you can also help it along by coming through and just getting that pollen shaken up on the inside. You can see there are a few aphids, and I just have been squashing away. I did also get some neem oil, so I will come through and spray, give everything a good spray with neem and peppermint oil sometime today or tomorrow. This is the Amish paste tomato, which is looking a little droopy, but we do have some fruit coming, so that's exciting. Some zucchini, squash, zucchini here. This is the dark star squash, and you can see there are 3 zucchinis on here. I might go ahead and harvest that baby right there today. I actually harvested my first zucchini yesterday off of the Black Beauty plant, but these are looking really good. I did hand pollinate I think the majority of these earlier in the week, a couple days ago, so they're looking really good. And this is, I believe, a Roma. Yes, Roma tomato. A lot of fruit on here, which you can see the pests that need to be squished and sprayed as well. Aphids, little, what are these, white flies or something? Just nasty, but we'll keep squishing those to continue to keep the plant healthy. This golden squash is looking really good. There are a couple of fruits on here as well. I've been watching this baby the last couple of days. I was worried at first because it seemed to be growing slow, and squash typically grows like in a day, but it has definitely grown since yesterday, so it looks like it might be all right. Another one back there. Uh-oh. Now I just saw an ant on these lima beans, which I don't know if that means there are aphids there, but I will definitely come through and check later. But let's see if I can find it. There they are. The first lima beans of the 2020 season, and actually the first lima beans that I have ever grown. So this is a bush lima bean plant. Really excited about these. A lot of little babies on there. This cucumber plant is looking healthy as well. I do see some little baby right there coming. So a little bit farther along than the plant on the other side. And then more purple potted beans. Sweet potatoes looking really healthy. I just love all this green foliage. It's beautiful. Now, I believe the raspberry plant has finished producing for the season. I read that it may produce again at the beginning of the fall, but as you can see, there is some kind of issue here with some of the leaves, and these canes, they look like they have about had it. So I'm going to come through and cut those canes down and probably spray these leaves as well to try to take care of the issue. Well, first I need to figure out what the issue is, so I need to do a little bit more research. I wasn't able to identify it based on my initial quick glance Google search of raspberry leaf issues, but I'm pretty excited again to have gotten the harvest that I did off of that plant this year. I had a garden fail in this bed this week. If you remember, there were onions planted in this area, but as I came through checking this week, they were all basically rotted out. The bulb was mushy, and so I went ahead and pulled all of those out this week. I threw in a couple sunflower seeds. I also transplanted this scraggly looking nasturtium to hopefully bounce back. Cherry tomato, which also has some fruit on it, so we'll have cherry tomatoes here soon. I've been harvesting chard, which is absolutely beautiful. The neon lights, the stems and the veining on here is so pretty. This early straight neck squash is still holding on, growing steadily, so hopefully it'll catch up soon. Round zucchini is looking good, no fruits yet. Everything in this corner is looking pretty good. The arugula did start flowering this week, which look at those beautiful flowers. So I'm not going to even, I already know from this spinach and trying to get the seeds from the kale, I don't have the patience. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull these out and put something else in this fabric pot. But it did really well. I'm pleased so far with how they are holding up and how the plants that are in the pots are growing. They seem to be as healthy as everything else. And so I actually need to make a couple more. I did do a little switcheroo in this corner. The corn was getting so tall, which I should have known. But again, scrapping plans causes things sometimes to get out of order. But, you know, I just pivoted and shift and moved the corn back to the corner because it was blocking the red roselle and the kohlrabi. So that's now moved to the front to be able to get ample sunlight. And then the corn, which is looking really good, is back here in the corner. I had a couple of ground cherry casualties this week. I think as I was coming through, and I did a deep water yesterday, and so I believe I probably knocked them off. I'm gonna admit that I did crack them open. I knew they weren't ready yet, but I cracked them open and had a little taste to see. So they weren't super sweet yet, but they did have me excited. So hopefully soon they will drop down and be ready for enjoyment. This gray zucchini squash is growing slow. Also, male flowers, only male flowers so far on here. And the SUNBRIGHT pepper, if you can see in there, we have peppers are coming, which I absolutely love peppers. So excited to see those little babies on there. This orange jazz tomato flowers are looking good. I don't see any actual fruit on here yet though. This is the lemonade thyme that I told you all about, or I posted about earlier this week. Smells absolutely amazing. Like, oh my gosh, it smells so good. I just come through and pet it and carry that smell. Amazing. The cosmos, of course, are still popping. I did snip off a few yesterday and put them in the house on the counter, so those look pretty. Look at this zinnia, which I'm so excited. I struggled to get seeds germinated and surviving. Tam in the garden sent me some seeds, so I honestly don't know at this point. I tried to keep track, but then it just became too much work. So I do have some popped in throughout the garden. I don't know the variety of all of them, but I'm just happy that they are here. So it is looking beautiful. Hopefully soon they will start blossoming. Something else that I did for maintenance this week, I came through and clipped the leaves off the bottom of the stems of the pepper plants just to make sure that there was enough airflow. Again, I planted intensely this year, so the spacing is a little tight, not that tight, but it's a little tight, and so just making sure that everything is clean there at the bottom to avoid any splashback, airflow for the plants. Oh my gosh, when you kneel down, you can see all of the issues. I'm not sure if you guys can see there all of the aphids on this tomato. So I guess they're just jumping around from plant to plant. This is a dad's sunset, and as soon as we stop filming and I handle those Japanese beetles, I will be coming through and taking care of this tomato plant here. More peppers. I have, I think, maybe 40 varieties planted, which is the most ever. Some of them I saved from last year, and I don't know what variety they are, so that's kind of my mystery garden, my mystery plants. But I also have a ton of others of seeds that I purchased this year. The Cosmos did finally bloom, and she is a different color, and she is absolutely beautiful. Excited about that. This is another Brandywine tomato here. Looking pretty good. I do see some aphids on here as well. The Minnesota midget is the star of the melon so far with its growth. I don't see any fruit on there yet, but I'm sure it's coming very soon. Looks like there's some action right there, so that's exciting. This calendula here is just popping. I love it. I snipped a few off yesterday. Looks like I will be able to snip a few off today or tomorrow. I also started some wheatgrass to dry and also to juice. So I have a container of this, and it germinated so quickly. So I'm gonna probably start another container in a few days. I also started some more basil and so some purple basil, and then also some lemon basil here, which has germinated as well. Some more tomato action in there. Looking good. I believe this is a red zebra tomato. I don't see too many pests on here, but everything's gonna get a good spray today. Cucumbers, a lot of pickling cucumbers, and they are just all over this trellis. I'm trying to keep it cleaned up and ensuring again that there is enough airflow and that it is staying on the trellis. You can see that it's already starting to jump off. The bees are loving the flowers, but you can see that is the first fruit, but there are plenty of other little babies on here. So hope to be harvesting that in the next couple of days. So this is the Black Beauty zucchini where I harvested the first zucchini yesterday. And I couldn't find any more tomato cages, so I do want to find a way and figure out how to kind of keep these leaves pulled in some so that the other plants growing in this bed have enough space to do their thing. But everything is looking good in this bed as well. The sun sugar tomato has grown significantly since I purchased it. It also has some fruit on there, which is exciting. And as I walked through yesterday, this might have been my highlight. This is the BUENA MULATA pepper from Baker Creek Seeds. Look at this, so pretty. And there are so many on here already. And that purple color, the purple flowers, is absolutely beautiful. We also have some action on this jalapeno plant, which my husband loves jalapenos, so hopefully I have more than one jalapeno plant, which I'm pretty confident that I do, but and this is the yellow pear, which always wants to be the star of the garden and take over. This one is by far the largest plant in the garden thus far. We do have fruit growing already, which is exciting. I had to come through and there was a kale plant left over, and somewhere in here I just snipped it down at the base because it wasn't getting sun anymore, it wasn't producing, so I went ahead and pulled that one out so that there was enough space for everything else that's in here. I am still hanging on to this one, trying my best to be patient to get these seeds because this kale was absolutely amazing. The worms have returned though and have started feasting on it again, so definitely gonna have to pay attention while it's still here. And I did use some for dinner last night, so again, I'm gonna let it stay as long as possible, but definitely to get those seeds. And then over here, the last couple of weeks, this eggplant, so the flea beetles had totally destroyed the two Rosa Bianca eggplants that I started from seed, and so I purchased this eggplant from a local nursery, and then they went to town on this one as well. But I am so happy because this is the largest eggplant that I have had in my garden in years. I haven't been able to grow eggplant successfully because of the flea beetles just beating me to the plant every single time. But you can see there that we have some action. The leaves are a bit holey, but they are looking healthy, and that makes me really happy. Look who just showed up to the party uninvited. You are not welcome here, okay? And you are about to die. So this is the damage that the Japanese beetles cause. If you see these skeletonized leaves on your plants, likely that is a result of the Japanese beetles. I typically come out here twice a day to pluck them off. But yesterday I was trying to be productive and came straight in and got to work and neglected to check the plant. And 4 hours later, this is the damage that was caused. So definitely need to stay on top of that this week. And I also have, I had put a pepper plant here and then a pepper plant over there in between this holy basil, but I think I'm gonna need to pop those out and move them somewhere else because they're growing, but I can tell that they have slowed down tremendously, and I want to ensure that they can stay healthy and that they're getting all of the sunlight they need. And they're definitely crowded in here. This one does have some flowers on it, but again, I can't, there's so much of this, and it's just getting bushier and bushier from me harvesting from it. So I do want to get those pepper plants out of there. And this poor kohlrabi is just, whew, man, it's really sad to look at, but I'm gonna leave it for a little while longer. The red Russian kale survivor is still looking good. I don't know what this is on the leaf, if that is a part of the veining or what, but I definitely need to look into that. And I also, so a success is these nasturtiums. This is the largest I've ever gotten nasturtiums to grow in the garden, so that is exciting. Do you notice anything missing from this bed? Yes, I came through and pulled out the snow peas and the snap peas because they were finishing up, and so I wanted to use this space for a couple of other things that I have to move around. And then if you remember last week, I was also battling the aphids on that plant, and I do want to say that I won that battle because this week the aphids were not on there hardly at all. I got a really big harvest yesterday, so I plucked everything off of there and just went ahead and pulled those out to create space for some other plants. So this is week 4. Again, another great week in the garden. Always learning happening in this space, learning more about plants and pests and how things grow. Thank you guys, as always, for checking me out and joining me on this little tour. And you guys have a amazing, happy, blessed